On January 24, 2008, the board of Société Générale, one of the largest banks in Europe, discovered that a single junior trader had quietly built up almost 50 billion euros in bets the bank never authorized. Not 50 million, 50 billion. More than the bank's entire market value. And they had 3 days to unwind it before the world found out. His name was Jerome Kerviel. He was 29 years old. He didn't come from a wealthy family, didn't go to an elite business school, and didn't start as a star trader. He started in the back office, the unglamorous compliance and settlement side of the bank, the department that checks trades, flags errors, and makes sure nobody is doing anything they shouldn't. He knew the rulebook because he used to enforce it, and he understood something most traders never think about. Risk systems only catch what they're built to look for. In 2005, Kerviel was promoted to the trading floor, onto what's called a Delta 1 desk. His official job was arbitrage, buying a position in one market and simultaneously selling an offsetting position in another, profiting off tiny, temporary price gaps between the two. Done properly, it's one of the lowest risk jobs on a trading floor, because every position is supposed to be hedged. The bank's exposure to market swings should be close to zero. Kerviel realized he could take one side of that trade for real, a genuine unhedged bet on the direction of European stock index futures, and simply never place the second, offsetting trade. Then, using his old back-office knowledge, he'd fabricate a fictitious hedge on paper, forge supporting emails, and borrow other employees' login credentials to push the fake trade through the system before compliance checks caught it. Every few days, as positions neared expiration or risk flags approached their threshold, he'd cancel the fictitious trade and immediately create a new one, resetting the clock. It was a shell game he had to keep playing every single day for years without a single mistake. For a while, the market rewarded him. By the end of 2007, his hidden, unhedged position was sitting on unrealized profits of nearly 1.5 billion euros, more than the bank's entire trading division was expected to generate that year. And here's the part that should have been the biggest red flag of all. He didn't cash out. He didn't quietly report a smaller, believable win and pocket a career-making bonus. He kept building, doubling down on futures tied to European stock indexes, betting the market would keep climbing into 2008. It didn't. As the subprime mortgage crisis in the US started spilling into global markets in late 2007 and early 2008, European stocks began sliding hard. Kerviel's secret position, by then worth roughly 50 billion euros, larger than the bank's total capital, was bleeding losses by the hour. And unlike a normal trader sitting on a bad bet, he couldn't just report it and ask for help, because reporting it meant admitting the entire position wasn't supposed to exist in the first place. So he kept forging, kept hedging on paper, and kept hoping the market would turn before anyone looked too closely. Société Générale's risk systems finally flagged something wrong in mid-January 2008. Not because they caught the fraud directly, but because a routine external counterparty check came back showing a trade Kerviel claimed to have made didn't actually exist on the other end. When management pulled that single thread, they didn't find a hedge fund attack or an external hack. They found one of their own employees sitting on a position roughly the size of the entire bank. Built through years of quietly gaming, the very checks meant to prevent exactly this. Here's the part that made this case notorious. The bank had to unwind 50 billion euros of exposure without anyone finding out, because if traders elsewhere realized Société Générale was a forced seller at that scale, they'd trade against the bank and make the losses catastrophically worse. Over 3 trading days in complete secrecy, while global markets were already in freefall, the bank sold off the entire position into a crashing market. By the time it was done, the loss was locked in at 4.9 billion euros. At the time, the largest trading loss in banking history caused by a single person, dwarfing even Nick Leeson's collapse of Barings Bank more than a decade earlier. The financial world was stunned, and not just because of the size of the number. This wasn't a hedge fund blowing up client money in some opaque offshore vehicle. This was one of the most conservative, respected banks in Europe, brought to its knees by a trader most people had never heard of, using nothing more exotic than standard futures contracts and a deep, patient understanding of paperwork. Kerviel was arrested, and the trial that followed became a referendum on who was really responsible. Prosecutors argued he acted alone, deliberately deceiving a bank that had reasonable controls in place. Kerviel argued the opposite, that his managers knew, or should have known, because his positions were generating enormous profits before they generated enormous losses, and nobody asks hard questions about a trader who's making money. He pointed out that his gains in 2007 alone were roughly 20 times his authorized trading limit, and insisted it was inconceivable that supervisors never noticed. French courts ultimately convicted him of breach of trust, forgery, and unauthorized computer use, and initially ordered him to personally repay the full 4.9 billion euros, a number so large it was almost symbolic, since no individual could ever realistically pay it. That judgment was later reduced on appeal, with courts acknowledging the bank's own oversight failures contributed to the scale of the loss, even as Kerviel remained criminally responsible. He served about 5 months in prison, a fraction of what many expected given the size of the number attached to his name. If you're building content like this yourself, everything I use, scripts, research tools, more breakdowns like this one, is linked below. The case forced a broader reckoning across European banking. Regulators pointed to Kerviel as a case study in why internal controls needed to be independent of the trading floor.